Hi there, Nick here from the Nagios Tech team, and today I'm going to be talking about NSTI, which stands for the Nagios SNMP Trap Interface. I'll be answering what is NSTI, I'll go through an easy install of it, and then we'll go over some general usage of NSTI. So the first question I'll answer is, what is NSTI? Well, NSTI is a PHP frontend for the SNMPTT backend database. SNMPTT gets handed traps by whatever SNMP service you're using and then puts them into a MySQL backend database. NSTI takes it from there and gives it to you in a presentable format. So it's quite useful for looking at traps that have come in, filtering them to see if there's some sort of trend. So that pretty much answers the question of what it is in a nutshell. I think from here it would just be best to go ahead and do an install of it. Alright, so here I am. I've got a terminal here which is connected to 192.168.5.58, which is the IP of my Nagios XI server. And now what I want to do is I want to do an SVN checkout of the actual NSTI source code. And it's pretty simple. If you don't have Subversion installed, you'll just have to install Subversion. If you're on a Red Hat system, it's just yum install Subversion. But I'll just assume for now that you do have Subversion installed. So then I'm just going to paste in this command. We're going to do an SVN checkout of that address. Alright, so it checked it out. Now let's go into the directory that it checked out, which is trunk. Do an ls here. We notice this install.py, and this isn't the only way to do it. If you've got a more complex setup, like you already have some SNMPTT stuff going on, and this is not a fresh install, then I highly suggest that you read the install document that's also in this folder. But the install.py is meant to, if just from a fresh install, to get your SNMPTT up and running and to get your NSTI up and running. So let's just go ahead and run the install.py. What this install py is going to do is going to install a couple Python modules that it's going to need, and then it's going to help us set up our MySQL database and help us set up our SNMPTT config. So now it's asking where our MySQL server is located on. Well, it's going to be located on this same computer, so it's localhost. And I didn't change the port or anything, so it's going to be default. And I didn't change the root password from the Nagios XI install, so the root is still Nagios XI. Now here's where you can get creative if you want. Perhaps creative is the wrong word to use there. I probably shouldn't get creative, but you can stick with the defaults or you can use your own. Just for now, I'll use these. Same with the password, and then same for the name of the table in MySQL. And we're installing this for XI. If you were installing this for core, you would type in core there. Now keep in mind, if you're installing this for core, I do suggest that you refer to the install document that is in this root directory. So we'll just go with XI. And now it's going to show us the actual root password again. So now this all looks good. Let's just go ahead and hit Y here. Now it actually, what it did there is it added the permissions in the database, as you can probably read on the terminal, and it tested the connection to the database, and it actually edited the snmptt.ini file, and then it moved around some internal documents that it would actually need to display the data properly. It also added something under the etc httpd conf.d directory so that Apache would recognize NSTI. So now we need to manually restart Apache, and we need to manually restart SNMPTT. Okay, now that SNMPTT started, I cleared my screen, and we only have one more thing to worry about, and that is the firewall rules in regards to the SNMP traps. So if you already have that handled, then you can disregard the next section, but if you're not super comfortable editing the firewall to allow SNMP traps, just take a quick look. It's not that difficult. So let's just look at what our firewall rules are now. We'll make the screen a little bigger here. Service IP table status. So here, it wasn't quite big enough. So here we can see there's really nothing related to port 162, so we're actually going to have to add one. And here's a quick rule for you. It will put a rule at the top of the chain that will allow port 162 from protocol UDP. So we'll put that in and then do a service IP table status again. And as you can see, it added a rule for 162. Now remember, if you want this to stay through after restarts and after IP table restarts, you will have to do a service IP tables save, which I will do there, and that just simply applies it to your etc sysconfig IP tables. Alright, so from there we pretty much got it done. So let's minimize this again, and let's go ahead and point our browser at 192.168.5.58 or whatever your Nagios XI IP address is, and then instead of putting Nagios XI at the end, put in NSTI. So we'll hit enter there. Alright, now this looks just like the Nagios XI login interface. It was meant to. This is, since we specified that we were installing it for Nagios XI, it's going to piggyback on the Nagios XI credentials. So we'll go Nagios admin, and then log into it. Oh, and it looks like it was successful. So you successfully installed it, but it's kind of boring. There's really no traps that have come in yet. You can leave it like this if you want, but for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to fill it up with some traps quick. I did include a script that will just dump some random SNMP traps in the database. So alright, we should have 1,000 SNMP traps now. So let's go ahead and reload. Alright, look at that. Got 1,000 traps here. As you can see, it sorts them by trap OID, host, category, severity, message. All of these are searchable. So if you wanted to see all that were coming in from host.55, you could search. If you wanted to go even further, you just want closure categories. Search for that. You just want warning, severity. Search for that. So you can see you can filter it down quite a ways. It's all paginated. You know, obviously if we filter it down so far, we don't really have that many. You might though. You can specify which order you want the dates in. Let's just go ahead and reset that. Another nice one is you can just specify that this one's already been read. This one's already been read. This one's just a waste of time, so I'll just delete it. You can hit the delete button. That you can see that it deletes it. You can mass delete. Like I can mark all of these and delete them. You can see we lost the proper amount up here. We can also put it into an archive table. So if we don't want to see them on the main, but we also don't want to delete them, we can just hit archive. And that'll get rid of them from this table. But now if we go to the archive traps, go to update, this one that we actually put in the archive table is here. Now obviously we can't mark it as red or anything, but no big loss because it's in the archive table. And that kind of sums up what I wanted to cover today. So as you can see, there's some stuff that's nice for filtering and looking at traps. There's also some stuff under the hood that I didn't cover. But if you're interested, give me an email. More than happy to answer questions about it. Contribute. It is an open source project, but either way, take care. Bye.